Hey there, hey, this is Michelle with Brilliant Class, and today we have something that's kind of fun, but it's really going to help you. And I'm going to be showing you how to play on easy mode when things get tough. All right, so you know how we do it. We give you our overview and then we go through each one of them. So let's get right to it. The first thing about when things get tough is instead of trying to just push in more, it's time to fall back and regroup. You can find it in military strategies, and you can find it in just basically common sense that any person will give someone when you have gotten in over your head, when things have become too complex. You have to fall back. All right. So I've got one. Well, anyway, I got some points we're going to make here, and that is, and I'm looking at my notes, y'all. First and foremost, to turn on easy mode, think about what easy mode is. If you're familiar with games, whether they be the big shoot 'em ups or the ones you play on your phone, when you start the game, they put you on what is called easy mode. And easy mode is not only where they give you easy tasks to do, but it is about showing you the fundamentals of how the game works. It is about teaching you strategy, and it is about getting you to focus on what is the most important objective, goal, or outcome of the game. And we're going to use that to our benefit for when things get tough. All right, so with that, first thing is you want to go back to the fundamentals, the foundations, the basics. This is where you go back to the quote unquote common sense of what you do. And it's hard sometimes when you've been playing in advanced mode, when you've been playing at such a high level, to go back down to easy mode, because it's pride, hurting your feelings and all that kind of stuff. But there comes a time when you have to stop engaging in the complex, the clever, and the complicated. And when you need to strip down to the necessaries and the mandatories. So to play in easy mode, the first thing is when you go back to those foundations, take off all the add-ons, take off all of the things. I remember when I used to have a WordPress site for my website, and it would get bogged down and in problems. The first thing that I had to learn to do was to go in and take out all of the added plugins and add them one by one, so I could see which one was messing up, the functionality. And that was getting back into quote unquote easy mode, because when I would take those plugins out and I would see my website, I'd be like, oh, she's playing, but she works. And that's what I want you to understand. It doesn't matter if all of the quote unquote spiciness and the customization of what you want to do is gone. You need it to work. So do not get confused with I want it all or nothing when you need it to work. You need to get down to the plain. You need to get down to the necessary and the mandatory. If a website can get bogged down with too much complexity, don't you think we can? So we have to do these things. Okay. So that's the first thing, is to go back to the foundations and the fundamentals and the basics. Strip out all the extemporaneous nice to haves, if you will. And that brings me to the next one, and that is you want to repair the roots. So think about a tree. And isn't it funny that one of the biggest symbols for wisdom is a tree? It is because it has different components that will help you in all situations of life. If you need one of the grandest metaphors to help you learn about stuff in your life, think about a tree. Okay. So in this tree, we have the root system, the trunk, the branches, and the leaves. And when things get tough, it is usually because you're trying to sprinkle leaves on the situation, when it's really about your roots. It's about, again, the foundations. But one thing about your root system is you must understand that your root system is about educating yourself. It is about community and network. Your root system is about continuously growing wider and deeper than vertically and up. A firm, wide, strong foundation with depth is what is needed for whenever you're trying to load something on top of it. Too many times, we, instead of looking like a triangle at the base where the root system is, we look like I can't do that. I'll try an inverted triangle. Yeah. Where we've put all this stuff up here where you can see it, all the complexity, and we don't have the root system, the base, to support it. And so you can't fix difficult with methods. And that's what the leaves are. And sometimes even the branches. No, a method is a tactic. It is a temporary or a choice that you can use to solve something. And that's equivalent to the leaves of the tree. It is mighty funny to me that if you look at the life cycles of trees, or the seasons, I should say, the seasons of trees, what you'll find is the root system never stops growing. The trunk never stops growing. Even the branches never stop growing, but the leaves do. They have a cycle where they bloom, they shine, and then they fall. But you still got the base of that tree. And the leaves are all of the higher little tweaks of life that you use, And so in order to deal with the tough times when the leaves are gone, you've got to drop back down into quote unquote easy mode. Easy mode is where you have that firm structure, that root system. So we start from the root and work up. So another thing is that difficult, um, difficult times require that you go deep and you go back down to what you know. I can't remember. Is it Kyrie Irving? I think it's Kyrie Irving. I don't have that in my notes, but he flashed two flash, but I'm choosing him. He flashed in my, in my periphery when I was talking about this. For whoever you are, that this will make sense for you. And he has this character, it's an uncle kind of character, who is an older guy. And this older guy is a basketball player like he is. And the older guy is all about the root system. He's all about foundations, fundamentals, the basics, the mandatory, and the necessary. And even though he's older, he's able to school these younger players that, challenge him on the court. And he consistently talks about, it's about your fundamentals. And it's not just about the fundamentals as much as it's about the education, the experience, and the continual reinforcement of the fundamentals that matter. And he says, with that example, you never, ever want to forget them. You never want to abandon them. You never want to be caught rusty on your fundamentals. And that's what we're talking about here. That's easy mode, because no matter how old this player gets, fundamentals, the root system is not going to fail him. You can cut even the trunk off of a tree. If you leave the root intact, when you come back, it might be 10, 15, 20 years. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to see a tree coming back up out of that root system, because it is that important that you understand everything. The buck stops at the roots, at the foundation, at the fundamentals. That's where the truth is. And that is the first thing that you work on, the first thing you encounter. And so I know it sounds counterintuitive to say, oh, when things are tough, go into easy mode. But that's the best place to be, because another thing about this understanding, we're still using the tree metaphor, is whereas the root system is about educating, it's about community and network, the trunk is about the experience. Think about the rings of a tree. And you can tell how old a tree is by counting the rings. That's what the trunk does. The trunk is the collector and the repository for the experiences. Then you have the branches. And the branches are the pursuit of mastery. That's where they branch out, and they are the ones that's the first point where they start spreading away from the tree to explore and to get experience outside of the trunk system. Then the leaves, and these are the droplets of knowledge that you can give people. These are the temporary things that come in and out that we love to see, because when we think of a tree and we look at those beautiful leaves, we're so concentrated on those leaves, but those leaves came to pass, not to stay. They are not the end all be all of the tree. And too many times we're trying to throw bags of leaves at problems and wondering why it doesn't work. When a leaf leaves that tree, it just started its death march. All it can do is shrivel up, die, and turn to crumbles, ashes, those types of things. And so it's about rearranging and understanding. All right. So we have talked about going back to the fundamentals. We've talked about repairing your roots, thinking about the tree. And then I've just told you about the tree system, what represents the roots, the trunk, the branches, and the leaves. The next thing is when you're dealing with tough things and you want to go into easy mode, what's the best way? I'm going to go back to the game analogy. The best way to achieve a lot of things when it's very difficult, you guessed it, have help, support, community, network. That's why when you think about gaming and you have these big tasks to defeat a boss, or to carry out an intricate quest to solve something so that you can get loot and experience points, you want to quest with a team. And the team is going to do different jobs. Whereas if you're solo leveling, it can be daunting. It'll take you longer, and you may not be able to trigger and get the experience, the boons, if you will, from everything that a team would. And so to get on easy mode, get some help. You want to do this by leveraging others to help you build momentum. And that's another thing. When you are looking at difficulty, one of the components of it is going to be slowing down. You're going to slow down in your progress, sometimes to stagnation, sometimes to being in a rut and being stuck, sometimes spinning your wheels, but never advancing. And a way to do this is when you get your community, when you get your network, notice the power of testimony, meaning that they will give you what happened to them so that you can be inspired to help you get your motivation back up. Another thing is word of mouth. When you want to tackle something, and say for instance, you're tired, you're exhausted, you just can't go another further. One of the best things is if you can trigger word of mouth, grassroots, if you will, to help you. How many times have you seen it where someone locally has an almost insurmountable task, and because they have a community and a network, people are like, well, let's go help sis so and so, let's go help bruh so and so do this, and before you know it, many hands make for light work, and you get stuff done. And it seems like, duh, Captain Obvious, but is it? Because if it was, you'd be doing it. We'd be doing it. And so we have to be reminded. Go back to the basics. Go back to the fundamentals. Go back to understanding what or how to categorize what you're going through. Sometimes a tough task is tough because it's not for a solo player. It's for a community. It's for a group. And these are little things that you can use. Only those, and this is something that I heard David Shands, he's a podcaster, say, and he said, only those without a community or a network can get canceled and stay canceled. I thought that was powerful. And it's because when you have a group, there is leverage, there is camaraderie, but there is also strength. Because again, word of mouth will help. What happens when you have someone who's quote unquote suspected of a crime and they go to trial? One of the things that you have are testimony, where people speak up for them. You have people that will write into the judge to plea for them. That person might be standing on trial, but it is the community that's helping them. And that's what David is talking about when he says, when you get canceled, the only way you stay canceled is if you had no one willing to speak up for you. You don't have a community. Think about the roots of a tree. We all have learned, or if you didn't, the root system of a tree is not just about going deep so it can keep the tree steady. It is about branching out so it can find other trees and its branches intertwine with the other trees' branches. That's the network. That's the community. So the very symbol that we use for wisdom, if it is showing us how to weather tough times, because come on, when the weather comes, that tree don't have anywhere to run to. It's got to stand firm. It's got to stay strong, and it's got to do what it needs to do to survive. And so we're taking these examples that nature is giving us and learning how to use them and be on easy mode. All right. So the next part is that you want to focus on one thing at a time. Now, this one is so simple, but it is hard because we have been led to believe, which is sad, that we must be able to multitask. And multitasking, especially when it's tough, is of the devil. It is the enemy. You don't want to multitask. And, and I know it's hard to back off what you're used to doing, but if you can't do anything else, stop doing the most. Stop doing the overtop so that you can get a breather so you can see what you need to do. The biggest part about being on easy mode, going back to the example of the software, when you're learning or going through the tutorial, if you will, the easy mode of a game, it does not let you progress until you have completed the task. So if it tells you to draw or slide this point over to get to this, and you try to press continue, it's going to highlight and say you need to do this. That is educating us with a little game of how life works. We must complete. And to complete in easy mode, one thing, one task. Do that before you move on, because it's about building precept upon precept so that you have a strong, firm, and complete foundation. All right. So one thing that is hard when you have been operating on such a high level is to minimalize, is to strip down. But minimalism is easy mode, and minimalism helps you to lessen your distractions. It helps you to kiss, keep it simple, sweetie, and it helps you to complete, because I have been experiencing tough things and spending too much time on them. But when I said, okay, I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to unravel this ball, the more I quote unquote unravel, the more I understood that that's a nice to have activity, Michelle, but that is not pertinent to getting you past this. And when I started understanding that easy mode is the way you get through tough times, it took me a minute because I was like, it can't be. They call it easy mode. But easy mode is actually necessary and mandatory mode. So if you want to think of it like that, think of it like that. So the next thing is when you are trying to get through easy mode, this is still under the focus on one thing at a time. What you want to do is you want to relearn and review the lessons needed to regain success. Going back to Kyrie and the fictitious uncle or grandpa, or whatever it is that plays basketball in schools, all these youngsters, he stressed, you have forgotten or you were never strong on certain points of the foundations, and that is why you cannot beat me. So when we go back and we strip down and we go back to the roots, when we are specifically looking for the areas that have deteriorated, that have become fuzzy, that are weak, and we want to relearn, we want to review, if you need to, rehab, take out the parts that are rotten and are stinking thinking, and fortify them with the things that you do need. When I was a little kid, I was all about speed of learning. And I was all about speed of learning because I never was the fastest, smartest kid in the class. I always had to work hard for it. And I didn't think that was right. And it wasn't until I had one of my favorite teachers tell me, it's quality over quantity. Quantity is fast, but quality is right. And I took that to heart. And I'll never forget, she was my she was my third grade teacher. And it was like, she gave me permission to slow down. And she was like, you don't want to have to keep relearning this stuff because you're trying to keep up with someone else. She was like, you have the tenacity. Now, she didn't use the word tenacity, but she was like, you're able to stick to it until you get it. And she was like, I would rather you stick to it until you get it than trying to keep up with someone else who is able to skim and go. Believe it or not, I still know some of the people that I was in those younger classes with. And yeah, it's evident that I didn't skim and go. And I'm grateful for that. But even with that, I can't rest on anybody's laurels. I still have to go back and review. And even with doing this and encouraging you to take Brilliant Quest, where you challenge yourself to build a better mind, I'm humbled at the fact that every day I don't feel worthy to do this, but I do it scared. I don't have all the answers, but what I do have, I give. And I try to make sure that I don't tell you that this is how you do it. I give you options to expand on what you know. And just like that, I'm able to help you to find, hopefully, the top priorities of what gets the lion's share of your efforting. And that's another thing. When you focus on one thing, it quickly becomes glaring what must be done, learned, activated, you name it, in order to complete, to get it done. And so these things are, these are so powerful. And then here's the thing. Once you have made it through the tough times on easy mode, and it becomes to where you can just do it, it's not time for you to rest on your laurels. You should not. Please don't stop when you get used to the easy mode. It is now time for you to start adding back on more things. Now, don't just pile everything back on, but adding more things with the new knowledge, the lessons, and the fortification that you have gotten during easy mode. Easy mode is when you retreat and regroup, but it is not where you stay. It is there to help you shore up the foundations, the fundamentals, take one thing at a time, and then you can start from there with not a clean slate, but a reinforced slate to go back and start taking on more and more. So guess what? Yes. I want you to go and watch this next video with Brilliant Quest to be able to build a better mind. I want you to like, share, comment, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. And I want you to go and definitely check out the links in the description. Any books that I may have mentioned or references will be there. If you want to do a one-on-one with me, links to book a session with me are there. And if you just say, hey, Michelle, I really like what you're doing, and I want to contribute to help you keep going with this, because I am doing this full time, you will find many ways to contribute to the channel through donations, through links from CashApp, Venmo, Zelle, PayPal, Stripe. They're all there. And I just really thank you so much for allowing me to be useful to you, allowing me to help you get inspired to live a brilliant quest. So this has been Michelle, your big sis with Brilliant Quest. Like I said, go watch that next video right there. And I'm going to see you sooner than later. Bye.